And a very good day to all my viewers. It's Sunday, January 22nd, 2023. It's exactly 8:44 a.m. and we are here for a nice walking video. We're here at the Old Port of Montreal, and I'm doing this walking video, well, because you, the viewers, voted for me to do this walking video as my next one, and I will be posting it this coming Wednesday. And obviously, if you're watching it, that means it's been posted. So we're here at the Old Port of Montreal. We're basically at the western end of it, and I'm going to start the walk here because this is pretty cool. Look at this. This is the Lachine Canal right before it enters the Old Port. And if you look over there, look, there's even a New Flyer bus for the casino. Yeah, so look, here's how it's going to work, this walking video. We're going to start here at the western end, and we're going to be walking in the east direction. I have my gimbal right now with me, which I'm using to film, and it will get more interesting as we walk, so just be patient. The reason I started here is because I wanted to show you here the Lachine Canal. This is the Peel Basin part of the Lachine Canal. This is, of course, no longer used. Used to be used by ships long time ago, hundreds of years ago. The Old Port of Montreal itself has been in operation officially since the 1800s or so, but it was also used when Montreal was founded in 1642, I believe. But obviously since then it's gone through a lot of changes, and we're going to see some of that today. So enjoy the walking video. This here, like I said, is basically where the Lachine Canal ends and the Old Port begins. Water goes through those tunnels and into the St. Lawrence River. So welcome, 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 and we will begin to walk. So this here is the Bonaventure Expressway. This leads eventually to the South Shore, Samuel de Champlain Bridge. Just to give you a perspective, we are walking in the east direction right now. And one thing I want to show you here, very historical part of Montreal. This is the Five Roses flower facility here. You're going to see the famous sign in a minute, and that's another reason I wanted to start here. These are basically silos, I believe, for flour. Five Roses makes flour. There is the downtown core. You can see right now the weather, it's quite interesting. We actually have a little bit of ice pellets and flurries right now, but if you look, it's a very low ceiling, very low clouds. You know, I decided to do this walking video in the snow, even though there's a bit of precipitation, because I wanted to kind of give it that nice wintry touch, you know. And I'm actually up pretty early for a Sunday, and it feels good to be out and about. So here it is. This is the Five Roses building. Right there, there's a famous Five Roses sign that has been there for a long time, probably maybe 1900s, maybe a little earlier, a little later, but definitely very old. Very famous sign in Montreal. You'll find it on souvenirs and you know, pillows, bags, cups. So I'm probably going to make that my thumbnail for my walking video. This part of the Old Port is not really used that much, at least for pedestrians, or sorry, at least for like ships and whatnot. It's very quiet. A lot of pedestrians and cyclists use this path. Over here is actually where the ships go. The containers are loaded off here. You can see those big cranes. And what we're seeing today, what we're going to see, is really a small portion of the Old Port. The Old Port goes very far east, past the Jacques Cartier Bridge, which you will see soon, later on in the video. But for now, we're just at a very quiet, kind of boring part of the Old Port. It will get better. But I wanted to do a nice long walking video. And I want to mention as well that, first of all, thank you to everyone that voted to in the poll I made for me to do this walking video. I also had other options, which was Parc Jean Drapeau. Another one, yeah, there was Parc Jean Drapeau, there was the Old Port, and walking on Lac St. Louis in the West Island, the frozen Lac St. Louis. And I think, yeah, Parc Jean Drapeau, the Old Port, Lac St. Louis, and there was another one I can't remember, but all those options that I put on there, they will all be done eventually as walking videos. The reason I did this poll is because I wanted to know which walking video you, my viewers, wanted to see first. And overwhelmingly, 70% of you voted for the Old Port walk. So here we are. So I'm going to do that more often for walking videos. I'm going to give my viewers, not just for walking videos, but viewers in general, videos in general, I want my viewers to give me their feedback on what they want to see. If you have requests or whatnot, always be more than welcome to share them. And also, I will be doing those polls more often, not just for, like I said, walking videos, but videos in general. Yeah, the other one was the Jacques Cartier Bridge, walking across the Jacques Cartier Bridge. So these are all options that I had put for the poll. Very nice day in terms of the temperature. It's only about -2, -3 Celsius. Not windy. And as we make our way further east, here's some train tracks down there. You can see some rail cars, CN rail cars. So this section of the Old Port is still used somewhat. I'm talking about over here and where the Five Roses is. And there, of course, is the main shipping dock. That's where, as you can see, there's a lot of shipping containers in the distance. But it's definitely not as busy as it used to be, especially in the early 1900s. Maybe we'll see some interesting ships. And what I'll do is I'll definitely timestamp the video into chapters so you can see quickly different things, maybe certain landmarks or a certain ship or something. Not guaranteeing there will be any ships there, probably won't be, but you never know. But we will see a lot of interesting and historical landmarks along the way. You can tell just by looking at this how old this building is here. Those bricks are exposed. These were grain silos probably. And we're coming up to a giant abandoned grain facility in a minute here. Another look at the skyline. Very low ceiling, very low. And look at that, there's 1000 de la Gauchetière directly in front of us. That's, of course, tallest building in Montreal, and that's where Terminus Centreville is, or downtown Montreal terminus. This building is obviously abandoned. You could see the windows and that are cracked, boarded up. So now we're gonna start seeing the Old Port, the more central part of the Old Port coming up here. But first we'll have to go under this little bridge here, and before we get to the bridge we have something interesting here to look at. This here is another abandoned building, but you can still see the foundations and the original walls. Really cool to see that. And who knows how old that building is, but you could tell it's old just by looking at the style of walls, the way the stones are placed. There's some old machinery. If you look, you can kind of see some gears over there. Look at that, there's some gears or something. Old machinery. By the way, I was debating whether to do this video in an ultra wide angle lens, but I decided I just do it in a regular lens on my phone. Oh, look at this. This is cool. Check out this. There's an actual gear right there, a piece of machinery that they salvaged probably from this building, and they've put it as an piece of art. So we're going to go under this bridge here, and now literally things are going to open up here in terms of what we're going to see. We're coming up now to some walks. Where we saw that little waterfall, that's one section where the Lachine Canal ends. This is another section where it actually continues right into the Old Port, and this is the other section that it also officially ends. So this one actually has the lock still as we go under this little bridge. So this is, I think, where a lot of the ships would go. The Peel Basin at the beginning of the video, I guess, is where they would be stationed temporarily before entering the Old Port. So we're going to go under the bridge, and then we're going to be going over the bridge to the other side, and that's when you'll see, like I said, the beginning of the main part of the Old Port of Montreal. But first, before we get over the bridge, check this out. This is just one part of this huge abandoned building here. This old grain silo, I think it was. So we're coming up now. This is Mill Street, by the way. M-I-L-L, Mill. So we're going to walk over the bridge, and then we're going to continue straight. We're going to be turning right and then continuing straight east, the direction that we were walking in originally. So yeah, I was debating whether or not to start the walking video around here or where I started at the Peel Basin. And yeah, I decided to Peel Basin, like I said, because it kind of gives you a perspective of where the Old Port begins, more or less. All right, so nice view there of the city. Gimbal is holding up well, even though it's, like I said, it's not too cold, but for the gimbal electronics it might be cold. We'll see how the battery lasts. I'm hoping to get at least an hour walking video out of this. And there it is down there. There's the Old Port that we're going to be, part of the Old Port we're going to be walking to. So this is quite cool. You're going to see here, even though there's no ships that use this anymore, we still have recreational boating. And there's the locks that they use right there. So those gates right there basically swing open. If you live in Ottawa, they also have them on the Rideau Canal. So here we are. So 13 and a half minutes in. So I'll put a timestamp around 14 minutes for those of you that want to officially start watching the walking video here at this point of the Old Port. All right, so this site is closed from midnight to 6 a.m. You know what? That's because of rioting that happened a couple of years ago when there was those curfews and whatnot. There's people here that were causing problems, protesting. I don't think that's still in effect, that overnight curfew, to be honest. It'd be really stupid if it was. But here we are. So we're at the 14-minute mark. So if you decided to fast forward the video and you wanted to start seeing the actual Old Port, the main part of the Old Port now, welcome to the walk. So we are now coming up to a really cool old tugboat. This tugboat right here, one of the oldest in Canada, and we're going to get a nice look at it as we walk by. The gimbal, like I said, I'm going to see if the gimbal holds up. If I have to abandon the gimbal and just hold the phone manually, it's not the end of the world, but I'll try to get as much out of the gimbal as I can, because the gimbal does run on a battery on its own, and it should be fully charged, but we'll find out once it stops reacting. So here is another area where the boats used to come, the ships. They used to dock here as well. But coming up, you're going to see these huge platforms or docks coming up, much bigger than this. We're just getting started. All right, so here is a nice view of that abandoned grain silo. I forgot the name of it. I'll put it in the description though. But this building here, very old, very large, obviously. No longer in use, but there's talk of building some development or something around here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see what happens. All right, you can see these leaves here on this tree are still there. Interesting. Not sure what tree species that is, but they're still there. I don't think they fall off. I think they're there all year. Maybe we'll see some wildlife today. We'll see some nature. Yeah, so check this out. This is a Daniel McAllister tugboat. This was used to pull ships around. Look at that cool propeller there. And you can see that's pretty much resting at the bottom, the floor of the canal, because the canal is pretty much drained right now for winter. But yeah, this is really cool. If you like old boats, and you know, I know there's transit fans watching and vehicle lovers and transit lovers. Well, here you go. Nice, beautiful tugboat. And I'm not sure if it still functions, but definitely is still standing. Really cool to see. If you're into history and whatnot, yeah, check it out. It's here all the time. It's not a temporary exhibit. It's always here. There's your cabin up there, your deck, I guess, if you want to call it that. All right, so the gimbal is. Thought she was slowing down a bit. All right, so here we are. We're now coming up to. That's the beginning of the Old Port that we were just at. Now we are really coming up to the main part of the Old Port now. And we're coming up to some cool train tracks here. Maybe we'll see a train. This is where there used to be about 8 railway lines here. About 8 railway lines running through this area. Now there's only 2. I'm talking about sets, basically railway tracks. We're going to see that soon. The 2 that are left. And here's Old Montreal, and I do have some walking videos of Old Montreal, of course. I'm not going to go into Old Montreal today. We're specifically staying at the Old Port. That's the theme of this video. But I do have on my channel some walking videos in Old Montreal. So here's an idea what we're coming up to. We got the King Edward Quay, basically platform, dock, Jacques Cartier dock, and the clock tower, as well as some other things. So here we go. Another view of that big building, that grain building. And there's a nice little unofficial welcome for you. Welcome to the Old Port of Montreal, a division of Canada Lands Company. So it's a federally owned area, this. Hey, we got a squirrel. Lots of squirrels over here. Oh, look at this, coming to say hi. All right, so here we are, our first rail crossing, and you'll see the bridge here coming up where the trains go across. Hopefully you enjoy that. And eventually we're going to be going up to, there's a ferry, ship terminal for cruise ships. We're going to go on top of that on the roof. Because it's opened up on the roof and we're allowed to walk on it. We'll be checking that out later. And also, like I said, there's the Grand Wheel in the distance, which I do want to eventually go on, but I think it's a bit of a rip-off, $40 for a single person for like a 5-minute ride. But we'll see down the road. Yeah, so here we are. This is a cool railway track. There's actually there's one here. They're like I said, used to be 8 of them. I don't know about this specific area, but at least further down. And basically this goes here, goes all the way east. And if you remember in the beginning of the video I mentioned, this is only a small part of the Old Port. The main commercial part of the Old Port is way east of here, past the Jacques Cartier Bridge. With the exception, of course, of that section that we saw over there, where the containers were. Right here is basically a very historical corner. This is where, I think in 1642, Montreal was declared a post or colony or trading post or whatever. And we're going to go see the ice now. There's another rail crossing, St. Pierre. So here is the actual water part of the port, one section of it. And look at that beautiful ice, frozen over here, but as you go further down you can see it's water, it's thawed out. Don't want to walk on that. Here's your Canadian flag if you're wondering. You can see it's not very windy at all today. And I also came here in the morning because it's so quiet. I don't like filming when there's lots of crowds. Oh, look at this. This is cool. They're going to be turning this thing into an observatory, it looks like. Can you see that right there? Look at that. Looks like hopefully we can go up there one day. That'd be a cool video. Is it open? No, it can't be open yet. Wow. I'll have to check that out someday soon. Yeah, so I'm not going to go on every dock or whatever you want to call it, but I'll go on, like I said, where the passenger terminal is for the cruise ships that come here occasionally. We'll go up there for a little bit and see. And definitely want to check out, like I said, the clock tower. That's probably where I'll wrap the video up, is at the clock tower. And of course, even though we're not going into Old Montreal, it is important to note that we will see some cool architecture and buildings on our side here that is going to be worth noting. So, like for example, even in the distance, there's I can kind of make it out. There's Notre Dame Cathedral of Montreal, Notre Dame Basilica, right there. You got to zoom in there. Looks like they're doing construction on it. Sorry about that, trying to focus. Yeah, so there's the steeples, the top of it. And we'll zoom back out here. Yeah, so pretty much these are the oldest buildings in Montreal. Everything you see right here, all the way down. This is De la Commune Street, I believe. There's a barge over there. Is this the new terminal? I think it is. Looks new. Just the one that you can climb on? Could be. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, this is it here. So yeah, we're gonna go up here temporarily just for a bit and take a look. So this is basically where I guess cruise ships dock. I think it's on the other side that they usually dock. Not just cruise ships, but there's also tour boats and stuff that are around here. I think they use that as a dock. This is the Grand Quay or Grand Dock. Maybe, I don't know if we can go inside. Maybe there might be an entrance on the roof. Not sure. Hey, we've got a little bell here. Oh, there's even an exhibition in there. Well, you know what? Oh, we'll save that for another day. As much as I'd love to. But let's check out this bell. Because, well, why not? I'm gonna ring this bell here. Get ready. Cover your ears. Well, be prepared at least. Love it. Haha. Beautiful. All right, so we're gonna go up here. You can tell this is definitely a new building, even though I might not go inside. I may or may not, but still, look, you can check out these cool ships here. Look at this. Beautiful model ships. So this is a relatively new building. I think for sure within the last decade it was built. And this section up here looks like, hopefully, you will be able to go inside of it one day. So here we are on the roof of the terminal. And what makes this really cool is the fact that it's very environmentally friendly. They have like a bit of grass here and vegetation. You see it more in the summer. But yeah, that's that. Here's I think it tells you the history and whatnot. There's a cool, beautiful shot of Old Montreal right there. You can see the basilica, the cathedral. Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way down just because of time purposes, but there you have an idea. We will try to get inside, like I said. There's the 5:15 bus. I think it is. It goes to the Old Port. Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to go in and we'll see if there's an elevator even, maybe. I don't know if it's open because it is early. If not, we'll just go back down the stairs. But here's a good idea of how deep the Old Port is. There's a huge cement wall which was actually put up there I think in the 1900s, because believe it or not, this area used to flood. There used to be huge ice jams. There's amazing pictures online of these huge ice jams coming all the way up to the street here and causing flooding amongst businesses. And this is going back a while ago. Yeah, this one looks closed. There's a barrier there. There's a bell again. I'm not going to ring it. We'll see if it's open. It may be open, it may not be. I don't think so, but no, it's locked. Of course, you know, you get up early and you get punished, right? It's not open yet. Anyways, really not much in there. Pretty much what I showed you with those boats, model ships. So we'll go back down the stairs and continue walking east. And by the way, I almost forgot, there's Habitat 67. That was built in 1967, I believe, part of the World's Fair, or to celebrate it. And looks like a bunch of blocks put together. Very famous landmark as well in Montreal. And that, of course, is facing south, and that's Jean Drapeau, Park Jean Drapeau. That's where I also was going to film. That was one of my poll responses. I will do a walking video there in the winter eventually. I do have one in the summer, at least partial walk. There's another STM bus, 5:15. All right, so I'll try to pick up speed a bit here because, like I said, I want to make the most of this video and not bore you guys. Because we're coming up now to the Science Center, which is at the next dock, which is one of my favorite places. Haven't been in years, and it's not just for kids, it's for adults too, because if you're into science like I am, really cool interactive exhibits. Here's another, guess you can call it, dock that is used. This is the one used for the cruise, the little cruise ships that go around the port giving tours. I'll just pan here and show you. There's another railway crossing. That's the train tracks we just saw earlier. Yeah, so we got some flags coming up. I want to go over the flags. Can't really see them because it's not windy enough, but first of all, that's the Canadian flag, our national flag here for Canada, our country. If you're not familiar, you may be watching somewhere else in the world. And then we got here some more flags. You can't really see them that well, but there's the Canadian one again. There's Quebec. Montreal is right here, the middle one, and the other two I think are just Old Port flags, Old Port of Montreal flags. So here's where we're going to see some interesting, at least up until now, some interesting boats that we haven't seen yet, some bigger varieties of boats. Over here we got, this is a local ship, the AML Cavalier Maxime. This is a ship, I think, or a boat that goes around the Old Port. And yeah, I think you can go there and have dinner or something. What's this one down here? Looks like another one. Oh, are these for the Old Port of Montreal? I think they are. Some of these could be from Quebec City. Look at this one. This one might be from Quebec. AML Louis Joliet, Quebec. Yeah, they don't look native to the Old Port. They don't look like they're... I don't know if I've seen these before. I don't know. They might be docked here for the winter. I know we do have variations of these that are smaller. I'll have to look that up. Maybe somebody can also leave a comment if you're watching the premiere, or if you want to leave a comment in the videos in the comment section. Maybe you can let me know what it is. Where else are we now? Yeah, so this is a little pond here that's usually frozen in, usually water in the summertime, but obviously it's either drained or frozen right now because it's winter. And here's the IMAX Theater in here as well, not just the Science Center, but the IMAX Theater. I used to go there growing up, loved the IMAX, still do. And there's another old, I guess, docking crane or docking tower that was used, I guess, to store materials, or simply used to, I guess, empty the ships with. There's probably a crane on it at one time. All right, so now we are coming up to the area where it's a bit more crowded usually. Might not be right now because it's so early. But you're slowly starting to see some cool landmarks up here. You got the Bon Secours Market, that big dome building. And there's the Jacques Cartier Bridge in the distance. Largest bridge in Canada, I believe. So we're going to see that much closer soon, especially when we get to the clock tower. Yeah, so here it is. This is the Montreal Science Center. Obviously, this used to be a dock as well for the ships. And I think this opened up in the 2000s, early 2000s, I believe, late 90s. The IMAX Theater has been there since the early 90s. And there's still, this is, I think, one of the original IMAX theaters in Montreal. Who knows, maybe even in Quebec or Canada. Because if you're familiar with the movie theaters, Cineplex or whatever, I forgot the names of the major movie chains, but a lot of theaters now have IMAX in them. But this was, I think, the original one, before they started adding them to the traditional movie theaters. Look at this, we got a dinosaur exhibit here. Interesting. I wonder what that's for. Oh, interesting. I'll get a closer look in a minute. Yeah, so here's your Science Center. Yeah, so I think this is just to promote maybe an exhibit or something. Ah, cool. Anyways, here's Old Montreal. We're close to Old Montreal now. The buildings and whatnot you could see. I think this is Saint Laurent Boulevard, so we're facing north. Saint Laurent basically goes all the way up. This is called the Main. Very historical street. Alright, now look at all this snow here. Wow. Alright, so here's another cool place. coming up here. This is another quay or dock. This is for recreational boats. You're going to see here. I don't think there's any there. There could be, but this is where they would store them. This is where they keep them in the summer. You'll see pleasure crafts, yachts, and whatnot. You can see in the distance the river is not frozen. And you're going to see coming up some cool rapids. So we're 35 minutes in. I'm hoping how's our battery doing? We're at 76% battery. We're doing good, so we should be fine. We'll see how long this walking video is. I'm aiming for an hour. Could be a bit more than that, depending. Very quiet here right now. Not many people. So this here, this area that we're coming up to right now, right when we get by here, we're going to see the Grand Wheel. By the way, this is just a parking lot in this section of the dock, right near the Science Center. It's just a big parking lot. But what we're coming up to now is another place basically to go inside if you want to keep warm, get warm. And they have like a little cafe. But once we get past here, we're going to see the skating rink. Another beautiful rink that I haven't been to in a while. Still have to go skating this winter. I haven't been yet. Alright, so usually in the summer, it's obviously much more active with people than in winter. There's bicycles you can rent, four-wheel bikes that sit 4 persons. Now, occasionally glance here to the side. I'll show you these buildings. Really cool, really cool. If you're into history like me, well, this is the place. Looks like they're doing some kind of work here. They have a construction trailer here or something. What do we got here? Igloo Fest. Oh, it's that Igloo Fest thing. It's some outdoor electronic music or something. Yeah, kind of a modern thing. This is closed off. I guess they're doing work. Or it could be because of this thing here, this festival. Hopefully we can go around it. Yeah, what I'm going to do anyway is I'm planning to... there's a bridge coming up that's going to face directly in front of the wheel, the Ferris wheel. So I'll do that. But first, I'm going to take a little detour here. Because this here is a very cool historical area. This is like the main square of Old Montreal. And we're going to see, look at that, there's a cool boat anchor right there, a ship anchor. That is huge. Gives you an appreciation. Yeah, so here's train tracks. You will see trains occasionally here if you're into rail fanning. This is a great place to come. You just got to be patient, but there are trains. Yeah, and there's there's De la Commune Street right here. And City Hall, Hotel de Ville in French, is right here, this building. We're not going to go up there today, but I just wanted to at least show you briefly. One interesting thing on an unrelated note, it seems the Bixie bike racks, they're keeping them out during the winter this year, at least some of them. I'm wondering if that's because they're testing them out to see if they can withstand the winter. Because I got a feeling eventually Bixies are going to be a year-round thing. They have been talking about it, they've been whispering about it in a sense. And that would be really cool. It would make sense. I mean, I think there are, first of all, cyclists that do bike all year round. And there are other cities that have bike rental services like that all year round. And me personally, I would use it. You know, you just have to dress good Obviously take prudence, caution, but it is doable. I got a feeling maybe in the next couple of years they will do a pilot project or something. Maybe open it 1 month earlier than usual, or extend it 1 month later than usual. Yeah, so this is blocked off. It doesn't matter though, because I'm planning to take the bridge here. Yeah, so here is another cool place here. This is the Bon Secours Basin, I believe. If you're interested in knowing, the yellow line basically goes under here. The yellow line of the Montreal Metro. And there's actually a ventilation shaft. I may visit it, or at least point it out. The ventilation shaft for the yellow line, which of course goes all the way to Longueuil. And Jean Drapeau, which, like I said, is just south of here. We'll see it better coming up. So these are actual containers. This is interesting. This is like a little area where people open up shops in the summer. You can see like there's toys, toy store, souvenir shops, food, you name it. And these are containers that have been converted. And I'll tell you one thing, you know, containers definitely should be used more for different things, whether it's, you know, even housing or building space, because, you know, you could recycle these, you could hook electricity, water up to them, and, you know, it makes sense from an environmental perspective. It's really cool that they do this. Now over here, this is interesting as well. Before we get to the wheel, this is it's like a pirate or ship themed obstacle course. Not just for kids, but adults too, I think. So yeah. And there it is, the Grand Wheel, the Grand Royal Wheel of Montreal. Not a big fan of it personally. I think it's a eyesore. But what can you do, right? Here's another cool place. There's a labyrinth in there. It's the SOS Labyrinth. Another storage shed, former storage shed. Now the SOS Labyrinth that's in there now, it's basically like a maze that you could walk through. Oh, the wheel's starting. It's basically a maze that you can walk through. But I'll tell you right now, it used to be a lot better in the 90s. I've been saying that a lot lately for things, but it is true. It used to be a lot more interesting. I think I was in there 10 years or 15 years ago. It wasn't that great. But yeah, in the 90s it was much better. More interactive. Yeah, so there's a up close view of the wheel if you want to see it turning. There's one that has a glass bottom. Yeah, it's right there. They even have a wind vane right here, like a little weather station, which is important, I guess, because if it's too windy you can't go up. Self-checkout coming soon, so I guess you could buy tickets through the machine. Yeah, right there, that's the one that has the glass bottom. I'll try to zoom in. Not that it's important, but I think it's like a VIP pod. I think it's like extra cushiony seats. All right, here's another nice view of Old Montreal. One of my favorite places is this church right here. This little chapel here, Bon Secours Chapel. I love this church. Go inside there, and you can climb up to the top where those statues are, and it's so beautiful inside. It's really ornate, really old, and they have a lot of interesting things in there, and it's beautiful. I highly recommend it, but the thing is they charge you to go inside, so every time I've been going, it's on Museum Day, which is every May in summer, right before summer. at least up until recently, they had, it's called a museum day, where a lot of the museums are free to go enter, and that's included in it as well. So hopefully that comes back this year, because I would love to visit again, go up there, get some pictures. The Bon Secours Chapel, I believe it's called. Yeah, look at this wheel here from the side. It's getting a little slower to react to me here, the gimbal, so it's probably getting cold. But we'll hang in there as much as we can. That sound, I think, means it's starting up. Oh, you want to see it from the side? Yeah, there it is. Alright, now here's another feature that I was mentioning earlier. This is a refrigerated ice skating rink. Now here's the thing. Years ago, so you have the rink here, which is really nice, really cool, beautiful, right? But years ago, and you can thank climate change and global warming for this, but this whole section here used to be an ice rink as well. It used to be a natural ice rink, and it'll go all the way around, like the perimeter here, to here. But because the climate's not the greatest for skating rinks and whatnot, well, unfortunately they have to use an artificial refrigerated section only, this section only. But you know, and same with Mount Royal. Mount Royal, Beaver Lake used to have a beautiful ice rink on the lake, natural ice rink, but because of, you know, the climate being too warm, they got rid of that. So now it's just a little refrigerated rink. It is what it is, you know. But it's too bad, because it was really cool to skate around this whole area. All right, so you know, it's funny, they have these ads here around the rinks, around the boards, but yet they still charge a pretty penny to use it. I haven't been here in ages, like 2008, 2009 maybe? Oh, maybe 2012, I think. But yeah, nice skating rink. All right, so now we're coming up to the final portion of our tour. We're going to see across the river. We're going to see some cool rapids, some cool water. Literally, it is quite cold. This here is a zip line, by the way, if you're wondering what this big wire is, set of wires. Pretty sure it's only a summer activity, but yeah, basically it's a zip line. You hold on to, I think, like a handle, and yeah, go across from that side down there. All right, so here we are. We're coming up to a really good part, the St. Lawrence River up close, and we're 48 minutes in, and I think we will make it a nice whole hour video. Looks like we're gonna do good. Here's a nice view, general view of where we came from. So here we are now, coming up to the beautiful, marvelous St. Lawrence River, and it's slowly coming into view. Here's a little spill off canal or whatever that empties to the river. But we're gonna go and make a nice right turn here, and now we're facing south, and the river is slowly coming into view. Beautiful waves, beautiful current. And I feel like me, you like rivers and nature. Well, this is all natural. So you're gonna notice something as we approach. First of all, earlier in the video, it was mostly ice that we saw. That main docking area of the Old Port. Now it's a lot of, I guess you could say mostly water. But look at this, we have some cool ice floating by here. Now the reason why there's water here is because of this. It's much warmer, first of all, the water here. And also look at the current down there in the distance. Really cool. Look at this, beautiful pieces of ice floating by. That's amazing. I love it. Look at that big section of ice there floating by. Take a moment here and just relax. This is a beautiful way to have a Sunday morning. You know, just sitting here by the water and watching ice floes go by. I think I'll make a separate video after on this. So yeah, here we are. That's Ile Notre Dame, Parc Jean Drapeau, Ile Saint Helena. That's all there in the distance right there. Further past that is the South Shore, Longueuil, Saint Hubert, you name it. And there, that big dome is the biosphere. I actually did a video on that a couple of nights ago, or a week or so ago. And there in the distance is the Jacques Cartier Bridge, named after the person that founded Montreal, discovered Montreal, the actual land in the 1500s. And then eventually it became part of New France, a French colony. Samuel de Champlain, which is ironically the name of the bridge down there, the Samuel de Champlain Bridge. Now I will say this for the clock tower coming up. I don't think it's open in the winter, but what I have done, if you go to my channel, there's a video, I'm sure there's a video there of me inside of there climbing. Really cool to see. I'll definitely be visiting it again in the summer. And we're going to wrap it up once we get to the actual clock tower, the other side. Now, another thing I want to mention is this little park here you could see that's sticking out. Another cool place to visit if you like nature. A lot of fishing goes on there as well. And I'll keep the camera here on the side so you can enjoy the river and its glory. And again, we're walking east, and we're walking in the direction of the river flow as well. The St. Lawrence River basically flows east the way we're walking, and empties out into the Atlantic Ocean eventually. If you were to follow the river that way west, you'd be going towards the Great Lakes, Toronto, Ottawa, all those places. Further west you get to Alberta, BC, and I guess Asia, you know. But yeah, for here east, eventually you get to the Maritimes, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, and the Atlantic Ocean, and Europe, of course. So yeah, that's pretty much, hopefully you learned a bit of things today, a few tidbits of knowledge that I looked up earlier before I came here, specifically the dates. Yeah, you're gonna, I don't even know if it's open, this section. Looks like they have it fenced off, but we will get a nice view of the clock tower from the outside. We're 53 minutes into the video, so it's perfect. I think it's gonna go right to an hour, which is beautiful amount of time for a walking video. Check out this beautiful piece of ice floating by. Massive. It's kind of tempting to go on it and ride, see where you end up. Ah, beautiful. Now the thing is, I was saying the river flows east the way we're walking. This section here, kind of because of the current, kind of rotates and temporarily goes in the west direction. But as you could see, basically circles around. There's that ice we saw earlier. Will make its way back into the current and continue on its way east. So that's how that works. All right. I hope that we could get to the other side of this clock tower, because it gives you a nice view of the bridge, the Jacques Cartier Bridge, and the east end. And if you're wondering, what is that under the bridge, under the Jacques Cartier? Well, that is an amusement park. That is La Ronde. Very old amusement park. Oh, sorry about that. Trying to focus here. Yeah, very old amusement park. Even as an adult, I love going there. It's fun. It's the rides are for all ages. I haven't been on a while because, first of all, well, there hasn't been any new rides, and second of all, I haven't really had anyone to go there with, and third, because of the pandemic, And fourth, well, I don't think the price is really worth it right now. I think it's like $50 for a ticket or $60 just for a day. And I think if you pay a bit more, you can get a season pass. But again, I don't know. I'll maybe check it out again one day. Eventually. But yeah, look at that beautiful river flowing. And that thing up there is an old watchtower, I think. Kind of looks like a castle. It's a turret. And there's an old lighthouse down there as well. We'll probably see that in a minute. Alright, so here we are coming up now to the clock tower, and yeah, I think we can walk on the other side, guys. See a little opening. Beautiful clock tower. Quite a bit of stairs. If you climb this, you're going to get a workout. That's for sure, but it's worth it. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention one thing. That bridge over there is the De La Concorde Bridge. That basically connects this part here, all the way to Parc Jean Drapeau. Leads to the casino, more or less, if you're interested in knowing. There's a lot of buses that run over there. I think in the beginning of the video we saw a bus that was actually coming back from there. Look at these whirlpools. Amazing. Beautiful. Nature at its greatest. And now we're going to see some cool features here. We're going to go here and go up these stairs. By the way, here's a nice view of the clock tower from the bottom looking up. Come on, focus, focus. There we go. All right, look at that. Beautiful. So this was used basically as a landmark for ships. When they first entered the Old Port, this is what they would see. And it was used as a guide for the ships, and obviously a clock to tell time. It is not open. If you want to see, it's not open. Nope, not open. It will be open in the summer though. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful piece of architecture. Canadian Merchant Navy, and there's the dates of different wars and conflicts. Some historical things here. And yeah, this is very cool. Try to show you the top from here. Yeah, and you can climb all the way up. Yeah. 1921, 1922, I think is when this was laid around there. Yeah, judging by the dates there, probably. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. I don't know, these cannons here I think are for a memorial. I don't think they're actually used for anything. One more look here, there's the Canadian flag. Alright, we got exactly a minute and a half left until we reach an hour, so I'm going to go all the way to an hour. And I'm going to end the video by showing you this beautiful view here facing east. But also, look at these huge cargo ships. That's what I was talking about earlier when I was mentioning cargo ships and whatnot. There they are. And the Old Port goes all the way down, way into the distance. You can see some cranes in the distance there. If the sky was clear, you would see Olympic Stadium as well. But yeah, that's about it. These used to be storage facilities as well. They've been converted to these luxury housing units. Hey, there's another tugboat down there. And one last view facing west, where we came from. So yeah, that was a nice walk we did. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah. And like I said, you know, if you have any requests for walking videos or whatnot, let me know. Leave it in the comment section. If you're watching the premiere right now, I'll probably stick around for a few minutes if anyone wants to chat. And as well, if you're not watching the premiere live, you can obviously rewatch the video. and a chat session, but also just leave a comment below. I will do more polls asking my viewers' opinions on video themes. All right, have a good night, good day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey, we did it. We made it, a whole hour of walking. Probably my longest video yet to date. All right, have a good night, everybody. Good day, and as always, more videos to come. Thank you.